let's go over the question. So, I'm just going to ask just two people to answer. So, let's see, I was going to ask Janice. How did you answer that question? What do you hate waiting for?
I hate waiting for the subway to arrive.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's a very New York answer. Let's see, how about Daniel? What did you say? What do you hate waiting for?
Nothing in particular. Anything that just puts my life on hold.
Mm.
Waiting for like something somewhere.
Yep. So, I asked that question because today we're going to talk a lot about what it means to have faith in times of uncertainty. So today's title for the sermon is Faith in Times of Uncertainty. For anybody who knows me really well, they will tell you, especially with my wife, I'm not a very adventurous eater. I don't like trying new things. Once I find something that I like, I'm just going to order that thing for the rest of my life, and I won't get anything else on the menu. And so that's what I do. There's this restaurant called Samsuka, yeah. And I always just get hello pop. That's all I get. And then what that is, that's just basically, it's like sashimi, but mixed in with like Korean, another Korean dish with rice and a little spicy. But that's my dish. I'll order that over and over again all the time. And but if I get adventurous and I figure, let me try something new. What I'll do, I'll start doing my research while I'm there. I'll start looking on Yelp on my phone and start, looking at pictures. Does this look like something that I would want to eat? What is it made out of? And then I'll look at the reviews. And I'll say, let's try to figure out what are people saying about this dish. Is it good? What is it made out of? And then when I'm convinced, then I'll go to my wife and say, you knowing me, do you think that I'm going to like this dish? And then if she says yes, I'll order it. And then of course I'll go through the same cycle of ordering that for the rest of my life. I'm not going to order anything else on the menu, and I'll just go on from there. Now there are some restaurants where they don't serve you a menu at all. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but you basically eat whatever the chef gives you. And so he'll just kind of bring like a bunch of dishes, that he just feels, he or she feels inspired to give at that time. And this type of dining is popular in Japan. And it's called omakase. Is that omakase dining, right? Who knew that? I'm just curious. Oh, you guys know. Okay, so that's the foodies now. I'm not that was like something very new for me to discover. So yeah, omakase dining, and what this actually means in English is I trust the chef. I trust what the chef is going to give me. And usually because the chefs have such good reputations, people, from what I hear, rarely are they disappointed. They pretty much love what they get. Now, this kind of dining really scares me, right? Because I don't like taking risks when it comes to my food, how I spend my money. I like to be certain that the food I'm getting is going to be good, and I would rather trust my judgment rather than the judgment of some chef. And I think when it comes to our spiritual lives, we're kind of the same way. We want to have a menu in front of us so that we kind of pick and choose what God, the great chef, is going to put on our plate of life. And the reason for that is very simple. I think it's because we like certainty. We like everything to be certain. We don't like uncertainty. And we don't like taking risks, kind of like with food. And we like to play it safe, I think, when it comes to life. But when you look at all the people of the Bible who are known for their faith, there's one thing I think that sticks out that explains why they were so faithful, and it's this, is that people of faith can embrace uncertainty. People of faith can embrace uncertainty. And in today's text, we see this in the life of Abraham. Now, the focus on Abraham's story is written in the context of Paul. He's describing, in chapter 11 of Hebrews, he's describing what a life of faith looks like. And so, in this book, he starts off by telling us, defining faith as, he defines it as the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So the confidence in what we hope for and the assurance about what we do not see. And at the beginning of the chapter, he starts to name all of the important figures in the Old Testament that epitomize what a life of faith looks like. Now, it's kind of like the Hall of Fame. Chapter 11 of Hebrews is known as the chapter that contains the Hall of Faith. So in the Hall of Fame, you have all these sports figures or entertainers who are known for their achievements, right? And so we also have the Hall of Faith here that Paul brings up. And he lists all of the people who were inducted into the Hall of Faith. And what's interesting is when you look at the list, it's actually not that impressive. You know, you have people like King David, the adulterer and the murderer. You have Gideon, the coward. You know, you have Rahab the prostitute. She's in there. And she's Jesus' great grandmother, if you did, by the way, if you know that. You know, he lists a lot of people who are flawed, who did not necessarily exemplify a life of purity or a perfect faith. But what set these people apart, I think, is not necessarily that they were consistently faithful to God, but they trusted that God would be faithful to them, even in circumstances where there's a lot of uncertainty. Now, God promised Abraham, you know, if you leave your home, your place of security, your family, your comfort zone, he tells him, follow me, and I'm going to give you an inheritance that's beyond your wildest dreams. As Paul mentions, his descendants would outnumber the stars in the sky and even the sands of the seashore. So he's telling him, you'll have descendants that are in the millions, the billions. He tells him, I'll make you into a great nation. And he also says, out of you, from your nation, I will bless all the nations of the world. And so this is a pretty good offer, a huge offer that God is giving to Abraham. But, you know, in order for him to receive that offer, you know, it's going to require Abraham to take a huge risk. He's going to have to leave everything that he's known, that he's been comfortable with, and go by faith. And the way Paul described his faith is he says, you know, he was commended for his faith. Well, all of them, including Abraham, they were commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. So, even though Abraham gave all this up on faith, went out and followed God, he actually never saw any of this actually happen, the promise being fulfilled in his lifetime. He died without seeing any descendants, like seeing the millions of descendants. He didn't see a nation or anything like that. And instead, what happened was, you know, he lived a life of constant uncertainty. He lived in a lot of uncertainty. You know, Paul describes Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as three generations of strangers who lived in a foreign country. So basically, he's saying that they were immigrants. Now, if you know anyone who's an immigrant, you talk to them. I know some of us are sons and daughters of immigrants. They'll tell you when they first arrive, they feel very uncertain about their life, very uncertain about the future. You know, when my parents and I came here, this is Michigan. Yeah, to show you my age, how old I am. So, you know, when I was 2 years old, when we came here, it was in the 70s, 1976. You know, my parents, they felt very uncertain. You know, they came with $10. They didn't know how they were going to make money, where we're going to live, how we're going to connect with other Korean people. You know, we had some relatives, but they weren't really connected like within community. For myself, growing up, there was a lot of uncertainty, as you guys probably maybe relate to this, but I wasn't sure, was I really Korean or was I American? Because my Korean was terrible, so I didn't really fit in with the Koreans. And I obviously didn't look white, so I didn't fit in with the white people. So I was like caught in the middle, and it's like, where, you know, who am I? Where am I? How am I supposed to live all this out? And, you know, in addition to being immigrants, you know, Abraham also describes Abraham and his family as people who lived in tents. So they were always on the go as well. They didn't live in an apartment. They didn't live in a condominium. They didn't live in a house. They didn't have much stability. They didn't have geographic stability. And because of this, they probably didn't have a lot of financial security. And for sure, they were probably not very secure even in their ethnic identity. Because again, they were strangers in a foreign land. And yet, you know, when you think about it, this in no way it resembled a nation. How does this resemble? Because God's, I'm going to make you into a great nation. This doesn't look like a nation, you know, when you think about it. And, you know, today's context, basically Abraham and his family, they'd be driving around in an RV camper, going from one part to the next, just kind of parking on their way to the promised land that God is talking about. And, you know, when you think about it, their lifestyle, the life that Abraham lived, is very opposite of what the American dream is. You know, American dream for us is, you know, we want to settle down. we want to settle down in the right neighborhood. We want to settle down in the right career, right? We want to settle down and have our kids go to the right school district. We're all about settling down. That's what we want. I think most of us do. We don't really like living a life of uncertainty where we're moving from one place to the next. And, in other words, we want certainty. And I think we will do anything we can to avoid uncertainty. For the Israelites, I think they struggled with a lot of uncertainty, which is why, if you read the Old Testament, they're constantly having problems with worshiping idols, right? And I think the reason why is because idols, unlike God, who is, invisible and unseen and somewhat mysterious, idols are something that are tangible. You can touch it, you can see it, and so it kind of gave them an illusion, I think, of certainty. And so they like these idols because not only that, but you could also control an idol. If you said the right rituals, if you gave the right sacrifices and did the right things, you could control your idol to revolve around your life, to bless your life and do what you wanted. Unlike God, which is the opposite, right? With God, it's the other way around. We revolve on Him, and we're submitting to Him. And, when I think about it, not much has changed. We like to laugh, kind of like snicker and look down on the Israelites and people that they, how could they worship idols like a wooden toy or something, or like a golden calf. But, we still worship idols today. It just comes in a different form. We worship materialism. We want the big house, we want the nice car, and we think that if we get these nice things, we'll feel better about ourselves. We worship our careers. We'll do everything and anything to make sure everything revolves around making sure that our career is stable and that we're constantly elevating up. We'll even sacrifice our families for it. We worship our education because of the status that it comes with, right? There are a lot of things that we worship. I think we can even worship our religion. We turn Christianity into a religion and turn that into a type of idol where we kind of turn God into a genie, right? That you can control, that revolves around your life. And I think it's most evident with a lot of the prosperity gospel preachers that you see on TV, right? If you can name it and claim it, and if you fall, if you do what X, Y, and Z, you're going to get what you want. Very similar to an idol. And so I think, even for us, we continue to struggle with that. And again, it's because we want to be certain about life. We think that if we're certain about our future, because we feel like if we get these things, we'll be secure in our future, we will feel secure in general with our lives. Another aspect of uncertainty I think that we all hate is waiting. And we talked about this today. Waiting is a big part of being uncertain. We want everything to be fast and we want it to be immediate. In fact, when we think about it, all our technology is all about trying to avoid waiting. This is why we have fast food, right? This is why we have microwave ovens. This is why our internet speed just has to get faster and faster. I remember the times of dial-up, and I thought, this is so cool. Oh wow, this is awesome. And it didn't bother me at the time. I don't think anyone said, this is taking forever. We're happy with that, because that's all we know. But now it has to get faster, right? We always want internet speed that's faster and faster and faster. And I think it's because, we really just don't want to wait. And, I think some of you in this room are probably in a waiting season. And sometimes I think when we're waiting, it can be very painful. Some of you may be waiting like, how long am I going to have to live with my parents? It's been a long time. And maybe you feel discouraged about that because you want to be able to be independent. And you're wondering where's God and all that. Some of you guys might be wondering, I've been waiting for so long for my career to take off. And I'm still in the same position, dead-end position, no room to move up, and nothing seems to be changing. And you're wondering where's God in that. Some of you guys may be waiting to graduate from school. You want to get on with your life and start your career. And you feel like it's just taking forever. And I'm in school, and I feel that uncertainty, that desire. When am I going to be able to get out of school and and start living my life, pursuing my career? But the good news is, I think, for people of faith, like ourselves in this room, waiting is a good thing. It can be a very good thing because often during that waiting process, that's where God really shapes our faith. That's where He shapes our character. And and matures our relationship with Him. Even Jesus had to wait 30-something years, right, for His ministry to start. He had to wait. Sometimes I feel like that waiting process is kind of like a spiritual, fermentation process. Then what comes to mind is kimchi, right? Now, Will, have you eaten kimchi yet?
I don't think so.
Not this. It's also okay. So kimchi, it's just for Will. And for others who may not eat kimchi. Kimchi is basically cabbage, very spicy cabbage, and you put a bunch of spices in there, and I never made it, but I've seen my mom and others do it, and they seem to step on it and do all kinds of things that they need to do to get those spices in there. But the way kimchi is made is you have to let it go through a fermentation process. Meaning you got to pack it up and you have to let it sit. And you let it sit for days and days, and maybe weeks. And sometimes the longer you wait, the better the kimchi is, right? Because if you go too early, that kimchi is not going to taste so great. When I used to have friends come over who were not Korean, and kimchi stinks. I remember they would open the refrigerator and they would say, "Oh my God, what like a dead thing inside the refrigerator?" I said, "No, that's just kimchi." They're like, "Oh my God, I thought it was a dead animal." So, anyways, that's my story of what it's like to eat kimchi and have your friends find it. But it's like wine as well, right? How does wine get made? It has to also go through a fermentation process of grapes. With all the technology that we have, like nothing seems to make good wine or good kimchi unless you just let it sit. You just have to wait. And I think that is kind of just that shows us like kind of how our spiritual lives are. Sometimes we have to go through a fermentation process, a spiritual fermentation process. And although waiting I think can be difficult, the reason we can wait patiently on God is because with Him nothing is too late, and nothing is ever impossible with Him. In other words, He's not bound by any limitations in this world. So, like for example, even Sarah was in her 80s when she had her first child. Isaac. God is not bound by time. Even in our 80s. And I think for us, we can say, "Oh, it's too late for me. It's too late for me to get married, to meet the right person. It's too late for me to take off my career. It's too late for me." But for God, nothing is too late, and He gives us this example in the life of Sarah. I think for us, especially in our 20s, we create what I think Pete Scazzaro kind of coined the artificial deadline. And so what we say, by 25, I'm going to get married. I need to get married. By 28, I'll be established in my career. By 30, I'll have my first child. And by 35, I'll own my first home. And of course, by 40, I'll be retired. That's a very ambitious, optimistic timeline, But it's a little exaggerated, but I think you guys get the point. Right? We create these deadlines for us, and if we don't meet them, somehow we feel that our self-worth, is really, we don't have any self-worth, and because we measure by meeting these deadlines. And sometimes these delays, I think, when it comes to these deadlines, can be good. For myself, I used to set these hard deadlines. Mine was kind of like this, because I didn't go to retire when I was 40. But I used to think that I would get married by 25, and I got married a lot later than 25. I was like almost 40, and when I met my wife. But I'm thankful that God, that He made me wait. Because if I had met her in my 20s, like you guys know, I told you, I would have ruined her life, because I was a mess in my 20s. I was emotionally messed up, spiritually, morally. I was really a mess. And so sometimes I think we have to thank God for delays, and thank God for even closed doors as well as the open ones. Because whatever delays or closed doors that He allows in our life, He's always going to be doing it for our best interest. I think that's just something that I want you guys to really remember. Another reason we can wait on God is that He's not bound even by the limitations of our faith, which is good news, very good news, because our faith a lot of times is not that great. We look at the people in the Hall of Faith; those people, the Hall of Famers and Hall of Faithers, And their lives were not really that faithful to God. But yet, even with that, God is not limited by the limitations of our faith. Even though Abraham and Sarah and Samson, all these people, Gideon, David, they made all these mistakes and they were very faithless over and over again. God continued to be faithful. And again, like I said, what set their faith apart from anyone else was not that they were consistently faithful, but they trusted that God would be faithful in their circumstances when things were uncertain. And I think finally, one of the reasons we can wait on God is because, He is not bound by the limitations of death. And Jesus proved this to us when He rose from the dead. And in the book of John, Jesus said, because I live, you too will live. And that's the significance of the resurrection. Why it's so important is because of the fact that Jesus rose from the dead, we now have the ability to rise from the dead as well. There's no death for us, basically. And this understanding that we are going to be resurrected, that God is not bound by death, I think that was the secret of Abraham's faith. The reason why he was able to wait and be able to continue to follow after God, even though everything seemed uncertain, was he had an eternal perspective. He knew that God was not limited by death, by the finite nature of our short lives. And that's why it says here, it actually says here in verse 10, it says, for he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder was God. And so, that I think was the secret of Abraham's faith. Because Jesus conquered the grave, that's why we can conquer life. And Jesus conquered basically the greatest form of uncertainty there is, death. Death is the greatest form of uncertainty. What's going to happen after we die? And the good news of the gospel, Jesus conquered that for us, so that we can now follow in the footsteps of Abraham, who believed that who believed that the future Messiah in his heart, that he knew that God could not only resurrect his son, but that God would resurrect his future son, and be able to fulfill his promise through the person of Christ. I think Abraham, he had a sense, he knew that God had a plan that was going to make sure that he would receive this promise in some way. And so I think this just goes to show that when we wait on God, He exceeds all of our expectations. He exceeds all of our expectations. He exceeds all of my expectations. As you guys know a little bit about my testimony, in my 20s, like I said, I was a mess. I was a mess. 20s up to my 30s, honestly. I was a mess financially, emotionally, spiritually. I was living a very messed up, immoral lifestyle. To be honest with you. But what made it worse was that I was going to church while this was happening. Sunday I would be there at church, but Monday through Saturday I was living a whole different lifestyle. I was at the club, I was drunk most of the time, I was out of my mind, I'd be passed out here and there, and in terms of dating, I dated whoever I felt like at that time. And it was not, honestly, I was not this faithful person that would be, that would be in the hall of faith, But God, He surprised me. He exceeded my expectation because, I lived such a messed up lifestyle. And the thing is this, I felt called by God to go into ministry when I was 14. And from 14 on, I just ran from them. And, I messed up and I just lived a life that was very far from what ministry looks like. And so for a long time, I disqualified myself. And I thought, God doesn't want me in ministry anymore. And I thought that that He probably wasn't going to give me anything good. Like I didn't deserve it. That's what I thought. But He surprised me. He surprised me when I met my wife when I was almost 40. I didn't expect to meet someone like her that was that good, that had such faith like the way that she has, and that would love and accept someone like me that was, broken. I didn't expect, honestly, to have 2 daughters. And God gave me 2 daughters. I didn't think I would ever have kids. I thought I'd be single for the rest of my life. And I didn't expect God would call me into the ministry and tell me to come all the way out here to New York like Abraham, to a place I had no idea what New York was about. I never imagined myself living out here. But, he surprised me and he sent me out here and he brought me to this church. And so he exceeded all of my expectations. And I think the lesson that I just want you guys to take away here is that, if you will just trust God, during those times of uncertainty, He's going to take you places that you never imagined. I never imagined being. You'll be very surprised. He's going to go way off of your deadlines, your timeline that you have for yourself. Don't be surprised. He may go way off of it. But it's going to be a place where you are actually experiencing His promises. And although Abraham, he never saw this promise actually come true in his lifetime, the good news of the gospel is that we actually were the ones who received that promise through the person of Jesus Christ because of our relationship with Him. Abraham would never have imagined when God told him, I'm going to make you into a great nation. Your descendants are going to be millions and billions. He would never have imagined that God was actually talking about us, the church, the people of faith who are walking in the footsteps of Abraham, that we are the fulfillment. And we've experienced that promise through His Son, through God's Son, Jesus Christ. And that's the good news of the gospel. And so I just want to remind you guys that, no matter where you are spiritually right now, I don't know where you're at, no matter what place you are in your life, in your waiting season, I just want to encourage you that God has a purpose. He has a plan for your life. He has a promise for you. And, during this waiting season, even though it feels uncertain, I just want to let you know that you can still trust God. He will be faithful to finish the work that He started with you. He's going to finish that work. He's not done. He has a lot more in store for you. And I hope that will give you peace, during this time, those many times when you'll be having to go through this waiting season of uncertainty. Because we can trust that God is going to be faithful. He's the one that's going to be faithful. Not necessarily depending on our own faith, but His faith for us. So, this time let's just close our eyes for prayer, and if the worship team just come up, I'd appreciate that. At the end of the service, we haven't done this in a while, but after the end of service, I want to invite you guys, if you have anything that you need to pray for you, if it's a physical illness, an emotional illness, a spiritual illness, something, or just anything that's on your heart, I'm here, to pray for you if you want. And we'll be praying for healing, if that's what you want. I want to make that available for you. So at this time, we're just going to pray. Lord, we just thank you so much for this word. Thank you for showing us what a life of faith looks like, especially in times of uncertainty. That in this life we are always going to face uncertainty. Jesus, you said that in this world we will have tribulation. He said, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. And so, Lord, we just ask that you would remind everybody in this room today that they can be patient and wait on you with confidence, knowing that you are faithful to complete the work you started in us, that you have a purpose and a plan for us, and that we can just wait in peace knowing that your timeline, your deadline is perfect because you always have our greatest interest in mind. And for that reason, we can totally trust you. In Jesus' name, pray.